Chapter 569. Let us begin then. The original name of the tactical game was Imuran Utemesis, a complex and lengthy name derived from archaic words. Few ever pronounced it correctly. The game pieces consisted of 8 types, 24 in total. When played by 2 people, most often 2 types would be excluded, leaving 6 types with 18 pieces. Either surveyed the set before him: a king, a general, a minister, a knight, a priest, and a common piece. Made from smoothly polished stones with wave-like pattern, Udir had handled these pieces multiple times in his previous life when he had learned the game. When Kishir left his position as commander to go to Paleta, he had left most of his belongings in his office, including these pieces. Udir subsequently tucked the unused game board into a drawer, never to take it out again, as Kishir never took his position again. It was strange how, even though these were certainly the first pieces he had touched in this new life, they still felt familiar in his hands. White and black pieces, the view of the commander's office, where they both sat facing each other, and Kishir Lahore before him. Everything was both the same and different. Udir moved a piece. As he advanced a common piece, Kishir also lifted his hand and moved his white common piece. The graceful way Kishir held the piece, the expressionless look on his face until he placed it down, everything was as Udir remembered. Yes, you may not know, but I do. How Kishir initiated the game to lightly gauge his opponent's intentions. Which piece he used under what circumstances. How he moved each type of piece. Udir knew it all. Information gleaned from the countless games he had played with Kishir resurfaced in his mind, one by one. Without hesitation, Udir dove back into those familiar patterns. Snap. The white piece Kishir placed was promptly captured by Udir's black piece. Then, the another white piece behind it attempted to seize the opportunity through sacrifice. But even that move was anticipated, and the black piece gracefully dodged it. Though Kishir seemed to take his time placing his pieces, Udir barely hesitated as he swiftly countered each move. As a result, the game progressed unusually quickly. After losing 3 pieces in quick succession, Kishir finally paused and slowly spoke, his eyes fixed on the board. You're not thinking about tactics and strategy before moving, aren't you? His gaze shifted to Udir's hand and then to his face. It seems more likely you're anticipating my moves and countering accordingly. For a moment, a thrilling sensation coursed through Udir's heart. As expected. He had believed that Kishir Lahore could discern the hidden truth from this game alone. Hiding his rapidly beating heart, Udir tightened his grip on his piece. Would you like to concede defeat? No, that's not an option. Kishir placed a new piece. The piece landed on the board with a click, its orientation subtly different from before. Let's see how you respond to this move, shall we? This time, Kishir made an unusual move with his priest piece, a piece that traditionally stayed between the king and the general and scarcely moved until the game's later half. It was as if he had thrown out this piece to see how well Udir could read him, employing a tactic he wouldn't usually use. True, the usual Kishir would never play such a move. A typical person might have assumed that Kishir had recklessly played a suicidal move and would immediately take advantage of the opening by advancing other pieces. But Udir did the opposite. He also deployed his priest piece, positioning it to protect the other pieces on the board. If I had advanced, I would have been captured instantly. I already know he's adept at using his priest piece when pretending to be careless, all the while hiding a knife behind his back. A faint smile crossed Kishir's lip when he realized Udir had once again seen through his move. So, you have figured this out as well then? All of a sudden, Kishir's pieces began to move haphazardly across the board. The movement seemed random, as if meant solely to create chaos. Half the moves appeared genuinely thoughtless, like they were just to sow confusion, while the other half was deceptive moves with hidden intent. The board became as chaotic as if played by children learning the game for the first time. From that moment on, Yudhir also took more time to think about his moves. The number of his black pieces being captured by the white pieces began to increase. Yudhir briefly exhaled, watching his black pieces fall one after another to Kishir's rapidly moving hand. Creating chaos to keep me from reading his strategy makes his task doubly difficult, yet he managed this far. Should he give credit that to Kishir being Kishir? Although the odds were clearly in Yudhir's favor, he felt a hint of peril. Kishir's skill at quickly swinging the board's momentum in his favor was indeed remarkable. Had Yudhir shown even a trace of confusion or made an error, he must have lost control of the game. But that can't be the reason for me to lose. Yudhir meticulously recalled how Kishir played in their previous games and matched his moves accordingly. No matter how chaotic the board became, the strategy was still fundamentally Kishir's. The answer was definitely in his memory. The black pieces advanced unabated across the chaotic board. The two sets of pieces facing off and baring their teeth seemed almost mirror images of each other. After Yudhir effortlessly captured the chaotic pieces, Kishir was left with too few pieces to turn the tide. The almost straightforward path to victory was now clear. Capture Kishir's last remaining king piece, then immune. Yudhir toppled Kishir's king piece and declared the end. I declare victory. How unfortunate. Kishir smiled and dropped his last remaining common piece. Yudhir furrowed his brow, realizing that if that piece had moved as planned, it would have taken his own imam, the king piece. When did that piece get there? Even if Yudhir lost a king, it couldn't compare to Kishir losing both his. But if this was a real war, it wouldn't have been an entirely satisfying victory, having lost one of his king pieces. Yudhir silently gazed at the man before him who had managed to get this far in a situation where he was at a disadvantage, facing an opponent who seemed to read him all too well, and on top of that, without having slept properly. Kishir broke the silence, his tone tinged with jest. Shouldn't you be happier about winning? It was his first victory in this game, but he hadn't won by fighting his way. He didn't start the game to win in the first place. Therefore, he had no reason to be jubilant. You, of all people, know that I didn't truly fight, Yudhir retorted. Kishir responded with a silent chuckle. In the second round, we will use special pieces. Yudhir sorted the two sets of pieces by color once more. This time, the board was rotated so that the white tiles came to him and the black tiles went to Kishir. Before starting the game, each placed their tiles in their respective positions and secretly selected a secret piece. Yudhir picked one of the standard tiles and designed it as a special piece, then set it back in place. Kishir's special piece will most likely be the night tile, he thought. The second game commenced. Not applying the special piece rule in the first round was your way of showing how well you understand all this, wasn't it? Kishir made the first move, his piece beating the board with a small clack. You know exactly how I play this game, don't you? Yes, Yudhir acknowledged, sending his own piece out to meet Kishir's. Clack. That's a separate matter from skill, he added. Clack. If you already know your enemy, you won't struggle, Kishir declared. Clack. Yes, and that dream is similar to this for me, Yudhir spoke up. Silence. Kishir's fingertips, which were to move the next piece, hesitated for a moment. Yudhir kept his gaze fixed on the piece in front of him as he continued speaking. The dream you saw signifies the end of a game I lost. Are you not going to make your next move? I was momentarily contemplating a clever move, Kishir finally said, his fingers picking up a piece and placing it gently on the board. Yet the sound of the tile meeting the board this time was softer, almost inaudible. Without waiting, Yudhir quickly grabbed his own piece and moved it. Clack. I may not be very good at games, but I have never lost the same way twice. I intend to keep it that way this time as well, Yudhir declared. Kishir picked up a new tile and, with a slow motion, his fingers let out a soft clack as he placed it on the board. But you have lost before? Nobody wins every game they play, Yudhir countered. The way you played earlier, it was the way of someone accustomed to it after overcoming numerous defeats. Kishir lifted his head. That's my way, he affirmed.